Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Royal Ramble podcast. I am your host, Zach Stevens, and we are here to review the episode of SmackDown Live from Rochester, New York on June 6th, 2017 at the Blue Cross Arena. Of course, you can always find us on Twitter at Ramble_cast. Again, that is Ramble_cast. And please subscribe to our YouTube page. That is where you're going to find the highest quality episodes that we have to offer here. We are also now on Podbean. Go ahead and check us out over there at royalrambleradio.podbean.com. You can, of course, download the Podbean app and listen to us on the go wherever you are. And we are also on SoundCloud. Go over there and check us out as well, soundcloud.com/royal-ramble-radio. Also, if you ever have any questions, you want to send in comments or just some general questions, send them to royalrambleradio@gmail.com. Alright guys, so as we head into this episode of SmackDown Live, my initial thoughts are that this was a good episode of SmackDown Live, far better than Raw last night. I definitely had my concerns with how Raw was laid out and as far as the matches go. If you haven't listened to it yet, go check out our episode that reviews Raw from yesterday. It definitely goes in way more depth than I will here, but essentially my main problem with Raw was that we were getting matches that had no meaning and they lasted about 2 minutes long. Other than that Samoa Joe-Seth Rollins match and the match that opened the show, Roman and Bray, everything else in between was pretty horrible. So SmackDown Live definitely had an easy go of it today. They didn't have to do much in order to have a better show than Raw. But yeah, man, today was definitely a legitimately interesting show. Lots of entertaining stuff on this episode of SmackDown Live. And we actually got matches that meant something. So we'll definitely go into that as we head into our review. Some of my pre-SmackDown thoughts here, like I always like to do on this podcast, kind of come up with some questions that we can think about as far as leading into this episode goes. Some of my main concerns are, what are they going to do to build up this pay-per-view Money in the Bank over the next 2 weeks? It's obviously coming up. It is a week from Sunday when we are going to have that Money in the Bank ladder match and pay-per-view. So what are they going to do in order to build up to that pay-per-view? And what kind of matches are we going to get tonight in order to do that? Another question is, what direction are they going to take Naomi? Right now, she is the champion. I believe she's actually the only babyface champion in the entire roster. That includes Raw, SmackDown, or 205 Live. She is the only babyface right now that holds a title. She has no match for Money in the Bank as of now. Well, we find out later in SmackDown Live that will change. But as of right now, before our review, she definitely had no match, and she is the champion. So I wanted to know what they were going to do as far as that goes. Are they going to put her on the show? Or are they just going to have her wait and face, the Money in the Bank contender whenever they cash it in? Some other questions, man. There's been some people on the SmackDown roster that we haven't seen in a little bit. For one, we keep getting those teases of Lana. When is she going to actually re-debut or return? Same with Rusev, her husband. When are we going to see him? There was always those teases of him coming up on the show, but they just never did it. Again, another set of people that we haven't seen is American Alpha. Ever since they lost that Beat the Clock challenge, I don't think we've seen him on TV since then. And then, of course, Ty Dillinger, man. Such an over guy, such a great in-ring competitor, but we just have not seen him enough on SmackDown. Originally I thought that he would be in this Money in the Bank ladder match, but it's not him. It was Shinsuke that ended up taking that final spot. So where is Ty? Are we going to get him on the show? And what are their plans for Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10, going forward? Another question I had, are they going to help build up that Jinder Randy Orton match? Obviously we're heading into that rematch with Randy. And, of course, I think Jinder should retain that for sure. You got to keep the heat on him. He looks like a badass heel right now. So I'm hoping that he can retain against Randy by any means at all at Money in the Bank. But, of course, what are they going to do in order to get us more excited for that match? Because as it stands right now, that's one of my least anticipated matches on this Money in the Bank card. I'm far more interested in seeing the men's ladder match and the women's ladder match far more than Randy versus Jinder again. So they definitely have some work to do as far as getting me invested into that match. And of course, I'm excited for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, man. It is one of my favorite pay-per-views every year. having that briefcase it's essentially a title. It's just as good as the Intercontinental title. It's just as good as the USA title. When you have that briefcase, that essentially means you are going to hold the title at some point. So we will see what happens. It's definitely one of my favorite pay-per-views, and I look forward to it coming up a week from Sunday. All right, man, so we head into the start of the show for SmackDown Live. Like I said, it's out of Rochester, New York, out of the Blue Cross Arena. We start off the show with a highlight package from last week's women's match where Shane comes out and tells them they'll be competing in the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And then Shane comes out to start off the actual show. All 5 women are already in the ring. We have a briefcase hanging above them, but it is shrouded in a black cloth, so we don't see it yet. Obviously, they are leading up to the reveal of what color the briefcase will be or what it will look like. Of course, in the ring is James Ellsworth as well. Shane O'Mac, we get the Shane O'Mac cheers, of course. And he says that he wants to introduce the women as if we don't already know who they are. He first starts out with Tamina. Tamina gets booed. She goes to Natty. Natty gets bigger boos. Carmella's next, and she gets equally loud as boos as Natty does. He points to Becky, and we have cheers for Becky, of course. She's obviously one of the main baby faces in this match. And then finally he points to Charlotte and starts talking about her. Now, this was something that I was kind of worried about a little bit. Now, obviously, Charlotte was the de facto heel on Raw. And when she came to SmackDown, they did that babyface turn with her. So I was wondering, when they go to Charlotte here, as they're going down the line of women, is she going to get boos or cheers? Well, she got woos and cheers as well. So no massive boos here, just a lot of woos and a lot of cheering. So what that tells me is that the face turn has worked to a certain degree, despite it not being the greatest face turn of all time or anything. It's been pretty lackluster, but it has worked to this point, and the crowd is obviously believing in her as a babyface. Shane then goes on to ask for a drum roll as the briefcase that I was describing earlier comes falling down from the ceiling. He rips off the black cloth, and he reveals the look of the briefcase, and it is white and gold. And man, I love the look of this briefcase. Originally I was saying, it might be pink or they might just go with a blue. But man, no, this is a white briefcase with gold trim, and it looks amazing. In my opinion, it looks way better than the men's blue briefcase. This thing looks awesome. So props to them for changing it up for the women and giving them something that looks really cool. Definitely the right choice here. Shane goes on to say that this ladder match will bring great risks, but with great risks comes reward. He talks about the contract inside the briefcase. Of course, we know the rules, Shane. You don't need to explain us the rules of Money in the Bank. James Ellsworth then has a mic, and he interrupts Shane. He goes on to say that there's no reason to explain how this match works. Actually, thank you, James. We don't need to know how this works because we know. Carmella says she will be the one at the top of the ladder looking down at all of you stew nods, which I don't know what that means, and I didn't look it up because who cares, but stew nods is what she said. Charlotte interrupts Carmella and says that she wants to thank Shane for allowing all these competitors to experience her greatness in this match. Then Natty interrupts Charlotte, and she says that she cannot stand to hear any more of Charlotte's woos and her copying of her dad. Well, then Becky gets in, and she says that Natty, all she does is rip off her Uncle Brett, and says the only thing that Becky rips off is arms, which, okay. Tamina then breaks into the conversation. She says that she will take that right there, referring to the briefcase, and shut you all up. Then Naomi's music hits, and we get her full glow-in-the-dark entrance. I love this entrance, definitely badass. My thoughts so far with this opening segment, I like that they're kicking off the show with the women again. This match definitely has my interest. I am totally buying into this women's Money in the Bank match. I could do without the whole petty bickering that goes back and forth. Gets a little cringy here, but I've definitely seen worse, so not a big deal. Naomi comes out and she says that she loves being champion, but she wishes that she could be in this match because it's going to be lit. She says that whoever wins will have to face her, and she is ready. Then, all of a sudden, we get new music in the background, and it is her. It's Lana. She is finally here. So one of our questions originally, was Lana going to be on this show? And yes, she is. Lana is dressed in this long, blue, sparkling dress. Definitely not dressed out for a match. I was originally thinking we might see Naomi versus Lana right here, but no. Lana just comes out in a dress, definitely not ready to get in the ring. She comes into the ring, though, and she's, shimmying and dancing along the way up, on the ramp. She has that full ballet dancing gimmick going on right now. We get Lana chants actually from this Rochester crowd. So I was legitimately surprised at the reaction that Lana got here. Obviously we haven't seen her in a while, so it was good for them to bring her here and really get that that pop that she got from the crowd, even though it was unexpected by me. Shane says that this is the land of opportunity, but this is not the right time. He says this just isn't working for him right now. The crowd boos, but then Lana goes on to say, Shane, I promise you, what works for me, I'll make work for you. The crowd kind of goes, ooh, it's kind of like a sexual implication, I guess, not really sure. Lana goes on to say that Naomi can't compete in this match, but she can. So originally I'm thinking, well, maybe they will put Lana in this Money in the Bank match, which is something that I thought they might do, or they might just put her on the card against Naomi. We get this weird, awkward silence, followed by the other girls start laughing and kind of like laughing under their breath. You hear Naomi audibly laughing into the microphone. We then get yes chants from the crowd saying that they do want to see Lana in this match. Lana then goes on to ask Naomi what's so funny, and then she says Bugs Bunny and you. Total cringe right there. Horrible line. She asks her if she thinks she can really hang in this ladder match, like for real, for real. Obviously, the other girls, I think this stems a little bit from Total Divas, where Lana isn't really portrayed as an in-ring talent. She's obviously been a valet for Rusev since her time here. So obviously the other girls don't really believe that she is going to be a competitor. Naomi is acting super heelish here, especially because the crowd is really behind Lana right now. And Naomi's kind of acting like a bitch towards her, saying, who have you beaten? And then she says, I'll wait. And then there's this long silence. And then Naomi starts giving her the Jeopardy music, the whole dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, that whole thing. Super heelish move out of Naomi all of a sudden. Don't really know what that's about. Then Lana goes on to say, well, I can beat you. And then everyone obviously goes, oh, shit. Then we see Becky Lynch and Charlotte in the corner doing the whole ooh thing. And right here, I swear it looks like they are imitating smoking a joint. They both have their hands up to their lips, and then Becky even acts like she inhales and is holding it in. Very weird. Things are starting to get a little awkward in this opening segment. Things are starting to fall apart here towards the end. Shane then tells Lana that with all due respect, a chance at the championship is something that you have to earn. Now I want you guys to remember that. He tells her this is something that you have to earn. This is the land of opportunity, but you can't just come in and get a title match. Alright, now I want everyone to remember that, okay? Now, Lana then goes on to leave the ring. The crowd starts booing. We get "We Want Lana" chants. Shane then tries to save the segment as they set up for a 6-woman tag team match. We've seen so many of these matches where it's always this mixed tag match or just, throwing all of the women into the ring at once and getting a match that usually ends up being pretty sloppy. Overall, my thoughts on this opening segment was that Lana really wasn't the best here. I think she had a nice debut. The crowd was definitely behind her. She definitely looks to be a babyface based on this crowd reaction and the way that she was acting. And then Naomi acting very standoffish and heelish all of a sudden is very weird as well. I'm not sure if she's maybe trying to turn heel, so we'll have an all-heel title reign from everyone on the roster. Not really sure. I think maybe she's just doing that to emphasize that Lana really is inexperienced and that she has no business being in the ring. But yeah, man, a very strange segment that started off and started to fall apart towards the end. But I'm definitely still interested in the ladder match at Money in the Bank, definitely. So we definitely have that to look forward to. So we head into the first match of tonight. It is that 6-women tag team match. We start with Natty and Charlotte doing some mat wrestling here. Charlotte delivers a series of chops to Natty. We get the whole woo thing. She starts doing the Ric Flair strut in the ring. Then she makes the tag to Becky. Becky kicks Natty in the face, and then Natty tags in Carmella. We get chance for Becky. Becky's definitely over here. Huge babyface in this match. Becky has a series of pinfalls as she spins her around the ring while she has her legs wrapped around Carmella. Very cool spot, very indie sort of spot. Basically, Becky has her legs wrapped around Carmella, and she's just spinning in the ring, pinning her as she spins around. Very cool. If you have a chance to check that out, definitely do so. Props to Becky for that spot. We head to the break, and then we come back, and Tamina is getting a tag. She grabs Becky in a chokehold on the mat. Tamina goes for a pinfall, but Becky kicks out. She then tags in Natty, and now Natty starts beating down Becky. Obviously, we're starting to build up for that hot tag towards Naomi. Tamina then tags in, and Naomi does get a tag. She eventually gets that hot tag, and Naomi delivers a series of beautiful kicks to Tamina's face. Naomi hits a crossbody on Tamina for a near fall, but Carmella comes into the ring and breaks it up. Charlotte then steps in and takes out Carmella, while Natty and Tamina start double teaming on Naomi. Then Lana walks to the ring. Naomi's on the ring apron watching the action, of course. Lana comes up from behind Naomi, grabs her legs, and takes her out on the apron. Naomi then staggers into the ring. She eats a super kick from Tamina, and Tamina gets a pin on the champion. Not necessarily clean, but Tamina gets a win, so we obviously get to hear that amazing theme music from Tamina, the whole Tamina, Tamina. I'm telling you guys right now, that is going to be the next hit on iTunes, similar to Shinsuke Nakamura. Mark it down right now. Anyway, like I said, I'm glad that the women are getting a new person involved with Lana. I've been wanting to see Lana in the ring for a very long time. I'm hoping that she has put some work in behind the scenes to really advance that. I'm hoping they don't drag this out Eva Marie style, not giving her a match for the longest time. Obviously, her and Eva Marie are completely different at this point, but I'm just hoping that we get a match from Lana soon so we can see what she does, right? Again, I really wish they wouldn't just throw all the girls into one giant match, but this still worked for me regardless. So, decent start to the show, but I think this show just got better as it went along. So we head backstage. We have a Shane and Mojo Rawley segment here. Shane definitely had a lot of spots on this show, similar to Kurt Angle, actually, from Monday Night Raw. Mojo goes on to remind everyone that he still exists by saying the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal Trophy. He says that when he won this trophy, it was the happiest moment of his life, but ever since he won it, he's been a ghost here on SmackDown. And that is definitely true. This trophy seems to bury people. Whenever they win it, we seem to never see them or the trophy ever again. So I'm glad that Mojo kind of called it out and they gave him a line about this. Mojo then goes on to remind everyone that he's the only one to ever beat Jinder Mahal. Well, not really. Tons of people have beaten Jinder, so don't get too excited, Mojo. Jinder was basically a jobber before they put the title on him, so let's relax with that, Mojo. Shane says there are tons of people in the line, but if you can win a match tonight, I will put you in the Money in the Bank ladder match. And his opponent for tonight is none other than Jinder Mahal. So he will have to pull off the trifecta. He will have to beat Jinder Mahal a third time, and if he does, he will be put into the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. At this point, I'm not really feeling Mojo being put into this match. I'm glad that they at least showed him. They put this character on TV again, and they actually mentioned that he has beaten the champion, but I don't really want to see Mojo in this ladder match. I don't think he's really ready for that. His in-ring offense definitely needs some work. His whole character needs some work, to be honest with you. And, I'm glad that they put him on TV, but I don't necessarily think that he needs to be in that ladder match. So we head into the second match of tonight, and it's going to be another rematch from last week, and that's going to be AJ Styles versus Dolph Ziggler. We get a rematch, like I said. Obviously, AJ wants to get revenge for losing in his hometown last week. Obviously, that finish was a little, I don't know, I think it was a botched finish. I haven't really heard much about it since then, but, going back to watch it, it looks kind of botchy a little bit. So, AJ is looking to get his revenge here. AJ, obviously, so over here. Doesn't matter where he goes, man. He is the best in the business right now, and each city he goes into, he is the biggest babyface to enter that arena. I really actually enjoyed their match from last week on SmackDown, so I'm perfectly fine with seeing a rematch. And I know I complain a lot about, getting these rehashed rematches, but that's actually usually on Raw. I'm never going to complain about seeing an AJ Styles match. Anytime AJ Styles in the ring, you have my attention. So, and I think there was actual meaning to this match. You know, AJ Styles wanted to get his revenge on Dolph Ziggler for losing last week. So it made sense to have this match. Unlike Raw, where we just have these matches for no fucking reason and they last 2 minutes and no one cares. You know, we actually get two guys that can go in the ring and there's an actual meaning behind this match. Not to mention, both of these guys are in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, so it makes sense for them to be fighting a little bit here. So that's my rant on that. Anyway, the match starts. We get a bunch of crazy holds to start the match. We get some mat wrestling. Very good, you know, just traditional wrestling out of both of these guys. Obviously, that is what Dolph Ziggler excels at, and AJ Styles can adapt to any style in the ring. We get AJ Styles chants from the crowd. Obviously, he is so over. Dolph hits a drop kick to AJ for a 2 count. Then we go to commercial break. We come back. AJ starts to create some separation from Dolph. Then they both start exchanging those boo, yes punches in the middle of the ring. You know, typical WWE spot there. Dolph then tries to go for a pinfall using the ropes for leverage like he did last week, but the ref catches him, again, like last week. Dolph gets up, then he hits the Famouser for another near fall. He then takes AJ to the top rope for a superplex, but AJ slips out. Dolph then goes for a DDT, but then AJ counters that. AJ sets up for the phenomenal forearm, but he doesn't get it off. He pulls down his, his elbow brace or whatever it is, and he teases it, but he doesn't actually get the forearm off. AJ then uses a sunset flip to get back into the ring. Dolph goes for a pin again, trying to use the ropes, but AJ kicks out of this one. Doesn't get the ref to break this one up. AJ then goes for a cover. He flips Dolph over, then back, then transitions into the Styles Clash out of nowhere. He hits the Styles Clash, 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles gets his revenge and wins clean. Man, this was such an amazing ending to this match. That transition where he goes for the cover, flips over him, and flips back and goes right into the Styles Clash out of nowhere. Man, that was so, so beautiful. There's some GIFs on Twitter. If you haven't seen those, I'm sure there's one out there of this exact spot. Or if you can, just go back and check out this match, man. I think it's worth your time. Both of these guys are great in the ring. And that spot in particular, the finish, was so cool. I love when AJ does stuff like this, man. He is a master in the ring. Being able to transition from things, you know, like the Styles Clash or his submissions. He's just so, so good in the ring, man. And this match is definitely worth your time. So we get another segment. It's the Fashion Files. This might be my favorite Fashion Files to date. Last week, it wasn't really my favorite one, but I'm still into, obviously, the Fashion Files and the Fashion Police here. But this one was so good, man. I'm not going to go into a super long, detailed explanation of this because I cannot do it justice. The comedy, the timing for it, you just need to go see it. I'm pretty sure they'll put it out on their YouTube page. But basically, it starts out black and white, noir style like they did last week. Fandango goes on to say that the cologne they found last week wasn't the cologne's cologne, referring to the Colognes, the wrestlers. They repeat colognes, cologne, colognes, cologne. Breeze gets confused by this, says he doesn't get it. Then we get a shot of the New Day. Obviously, the New Day are very colorful. They're always in their rainbow gear. But they come into the Fashion Files Police, and they turn black and white. They kind of notice them transforming, so we get that sort of joke where they're like, whoa, why are we black and white all of a sudden? The New Day come in. They ask Breezango and, they ask Breezango. I keep wanting to do that. I always want to call Tyler Breeze Breezango, but no, he's Tyler Breeze, and we have Fandango. I will always mess that up no matter what. Anyway, the New Day want some intel on their Money in the Bank opponents, the Usos, because obviously Breezango has been facing the Usos the past couple of months. There's these long pauses where we hear Tyler Breeze and Fandango's inner thoughts, just like we learned last week, where they can kind of communicate telepathically, sort of. But as they're doing that, the New Day are just standing there in this whole awkward silence. So the New Day can't hear their inner thoughts, but Tyler Breeze and Fandango are communicating. So the New Day are just standing there in this awkward silence. Very funny. They eventually give them, they give them the stuff. And there's a bunch of other funny jokes in there. Just go check this out, man. It was really good. I'm loving these segments, man. They're such a good break from, the action that we get in ring and the other serious segments that we get. It's always funny. Tyler Breeze and Fandango just have this perfect comedic timing with one another, man. I would love to see a WWE cheeseball movie of these two guys being buddy cops. That would be my favorite thing. That would be a WWE movie that I would actually want to watch. Not this Marine 6 bullshit or any of that other stuff that they put out. I would love to see them do this. I know it's not necessarily, what WWE movies are all about. They kind of go for more of a serious sort of thing. But this would be perfect if they just kind of poked fun at themselves a little bit and did something like this, man, because these guys are comedic geniuses right now. And like I said, man, just go check out this segment on YouTube if they upload it there. It's definitely worth your time. So we head into the third match of the night. It's going to be Mojo versus Jinder. Obviously, we set this up. Mojo, if he wins, if he's able to beat Jinder for a third time, he will get a spot in that Money in the Bank ladder match. I wrote down a quick note here about SmackDown versus Raw. I want you to look at the matches that they put on this show compared to what we got last night on Raw. Each one of these matches tonight had a purpose, right? First of all, AJ versus Dolph, right? He needed his rematch with Dolph to get revenge for losing last week. That makes sense. All the women, of course, are going to be feuding as they head into their ladder match. Plus, we got Lana. So all of that segment actually had something substantial. There was something of worth there, right? It was worth your time to see Lana come out and see her re-debut. Now we have Mojo facing Jinder, who he has beaten twice, and if he wins, he gets put into that ladder match. This match could have been a throwaway match with no consequences to it at all, but no, they put a stipulation in here, and they said if you win, then you will get a spot in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So they made this match important by giving it that, right? On Raw, what did we get? We got Sheamus and Cesaro versus Heath Slater and Rhino for 2 fucking minutes. We got TJP and Mustafa Ali for 2 fucking minutes. All these matches that didn't mean fucking shit. And here we are on SmackDown. We have actual matches that actually mean something. And they are actual matches. They aren't these 2-minute jobbed out matches that last, they're so quick that you don't even care. So that's my whole complaint right now. SmackDown is the superior show because of that. They know what they're doing. They make the matches make sense, and they give us actual matches. Thank you, SmackDown. Anyway, we start the match. Originally I'm thinking, man, this might actually end up being a hot match. The crowd has been, getting into things. They've been super receptive to everything on this show, including Lana and all that stuff. So if they do this match properly, I could see them, getting invested in all the near falls and really believing that Mojo has a chance. We get a quick tease that says John Cena is apparently coming back on July 4th, so everyone mark your calendars. I wrote a little note here, I hate when they do these because it takes away the surprise element that you could have with John Cena coming back, but it makes sense when John Cena is such a big star. You really need to promote that. So obviously they're doing it for the money, so it makes sense. But I think it robs us a little bit as fans because it takes away that surprise element. So we start the match. We get a very long entrance from Jinder here. He has some new Titantron graphics. He looks like a badass coming out with that championship. He takes his sweet time. He's constantly lifting the belt to the crowd, really soaking in that heel heat. We start off the match. Mojo ends up throwing Jinder into the corners face first. Mojo flips Jinder over onto the mat, and Jinder has to roll to the outside to recollect himself. Jinder then gets back into the ring. He delivers some straight shots to Mojo's face. They start running back into the ring. They start running the ropes, and Mojo tackles Jinder to the outside of the ring. Jinder then gets back into the ring, but Mojo tackles him again. The Singh brothers try to distract Mojo, and then Jinder is able to capitalize off the distraction. He starts delivering stomps to Mojo's face near the ropes. Jinder has Mojo in a hold on the mat, but Mojo then reverses it and slams Jinder down. We get a series of shoulder tackles from Mojo to Jinder. Mojo gets Jinder on his shoulders, but Jinder rakes his eyes, then slams Mojo into the post face first. Jinder then grabs Mojo by the neck, hits the Kalash, and Jinder wins. My original thoughts, this was a quick match actually. Obviously it had some meaning behind it, but it was pretty quick. Jinder's looking strong, which he needs to do as the champion. Obviously, he has got to keep that heel heat going. But my one takeaway from this, man, is that Mojo in the ring is actually pretty fucking bad. He lacks a true offense right now. Most of the stuff that we got in here was all shoulder tackles and just regular tackles, man. He's got to find a way to advance his offensive ability in the ring to really get people interested. And I honestly think that he needs to drop the whole he ain't hype bullshit, because there was a point in this match where he tried to do that, and the crowd basically did not even respond. So they aren't feeling his current gimmick. I think he needs to go back to the drawing board a little bit with that stuff, especially now that him and Zack Ryder aren't a tag team anymore. They aren't the Hype Brothers anymore. It's just Mojo Rawley. So he needs to kind of find a new gimmick here and advance his offense in the ring right now a little bit more, because, man, he's a big guy. He looks devastating. He looks badass. He just needs to advance his offense a little bit more. So after the match, Jinder grabs the mic. He's telling everyone to shut up. We get USA chants, of course. Jinder says he just demolished Mojo, just like he will demolish Randy Orton in St. Louis, which, by the way, is in the USA. Thanks for the geographical reminder there, Jinder. He calls everyone sick, but he says that he is the medicine. He says that people will have no choice but to accept him as the modern-day Maharaja. Jinder speaks in Punjabi, then he heads to the top rope as his music plays, but as he's heading to the top rope, he actually slips, and the crowd starts laughing at him. The music is playing over it, so you can't hear it too audibly, but he definitely slips, and you can hear the crowd laugh at him, so I thought that was pretty good. Jinder needed to look strong here, obviously. Losing to Mojo for no reason on the show would have been really fucking stupid, so it was the right call by having him win and look strong here. Like I said earlier in the show, man, I'm not really hyped for that rematch with Orton, mainly just because Randy as a babyface doesn't do anything for me personally, and Jinder is really looking like that heel badass that we need so that we can start getting some new pairings like AJ Styles or whoever else they want to pair against Jinder, because obviously there are a lot of babyfaces out there that could go against him right now, not just Randy Orton. So I'll be glad when that rematch is over and we can head into some new pairings. We have a cool highlight package here for Shinsuke. I really love when they do these things. I think this is what they needed to do originally with Shinsuke, rather than having him come out there and try to cut these long promos and calling him the artist and all this bullshit. They just needed some cool highlight packages, man, that show, a lot of his NXT clips and, any clips that he has from SmackDown Live up to this point. There is a big emphasis on this whole artist thing. They aren't going to give that nickname up, apparently. And they remind us all that Shinsuke will face Kevin Owens later tonight, which we knew about before the show even started. So we head backstage. We have Randy Orton. He's doing an interview with Renee. He says that he's received calls from his father, Ric Flair, and Harley Race. They all told him that actions speak louder than words. He says that when he is in his hometown of St. Louis, Missouri, which is where the Money in the Bank ladder match will occur, says he won't have to say a word, but Jinder Mahal will hear him just fine. Decent promo here from Randy. Again, like I said, I'm not super excited for this, but keep in mind that it is Randy Orton's hometown. And Rich Swann, as far as I know, is the only one to win in his hometown in the past, 6 months or something. So I have a feeling that Randy Orton probably isn't going to be that lucky. He will probably end up eating the pinfall in his hometown just like everyone else. We head into the fourth match of tonight, and it is the New Day versus the Colognes. The New Day come out, throwing booty-os to the crowd and feeding people booty-os as we walk down to the ramp. Xavier starts off this match. Really, really nice offense from Xavier here. I love seeing him in the ring. He is one of my favorite wrestlers on this roster. I really wish we would get to see him more in the ring because I think he is really, really good. Xavier gets a near fall, then he tags in Big E. Him and Xavier then team up on the Colognes for a little bit. Kofi is not in action tonight, so he may still be recovering a little bit from that injury. There's this one cool spot where Xavier and Big E both grab the Colognes and they do the whole New Day Rock slaps onto the asses of the Colognes. That's usually a thing that Big E only does himself, but him and Xavier both got in it on this time. We come back from commercial and the Colognes are now in control. Xavier is now trying to get the hot tag to Big E, but no dice. The Colognes obviously are going to stop him. Xavier is on the top rope, and he flies across the ring for a missile drop kick. He easily goes more than halfway across the ring. Super, super impressive stuff here. Love Xavier. Big E finally gets that hot tag. We get a series of slams, and then we get a frog splash from Big E, which has to fucking hurt. Xavier does a huge flip over the top ropes onto one of the Colognes brothers on the outside. Big E then tags in Xavier. They set up for the midnight hour, hit it, and the New Day win. Thoughts? great comeback match for the New Day here. I think this was their first match since coming back, I believe. Xavier really got to showcase some great offense in this match, like I said. Definitely go back and check that out if you have a chance. Same with Big E. It's really good to see both of these guys back in the ring, and they're definitely really welcomed on SmackDown, at least in the tag division, for sure. Then the Usos come out. They say that they are really impressed, but the New Day are old news. They say that they have the tag division on lock, and they welcome the New Day to the Uso Penitentiary. But they go on to say that they aren't always serious. They like jokes as well. They make fun of each member of the New Day. They go on to ask Big E if that's his real name or if that's his bra size. They go on to say that as they draw near Money in the Bank, the fun and the jokes will be over as they do their whole, paranoia spiel that they always do, and then they leave. My thoughts here, man, the Usos are so fucking good on the mic. I love their heel transformation, man. They just, when they come out, man, they are scary. They seem like badass motherfuckers. Obviously, I love the New Day, but I think the Usos need a nice long heel run here with the championships. Let them challenge, the various babyface tag teams, and then, when they finally have someone ready, maybe an American Alpha or even Breezango, then maybe do a title swap. But for now, I think we should keep the belts on the Usos because right now, man, they are in their prime condition. They are in the best form that I've seen the Usos. And this whole heel persona that they're putting on is fucking great. So props to the Usos, man. So good. Again, I mentioned American Alpha. Where the fuck are they? We have not been able to see them whatsoever. They have not been able to capture that same sort of momentum that they had in NXT. They really went from being a prominent tag team on that show to being, as Mojo Rawley would say, they've been ghosts. We have not seen them. So super disappointing, man. I really wish they could get them in the ring and, we could put on one of those epic tag team matches that they were so known for in NXT. Those matches, that's what got them over. It's not going to be them doing these backstage interviews or any sort of, promos in the ring. It's going to be in-ring performance is what's going to get American Alpha over. And I think that's what they have to do. We have to find a tag team that we can pair with them in order for them to put on a badass tag team match. You got to let them do that in order to get over, and I think that would help. I think it would go a long way in helping them finally get back onto this show and really get into the minds of the audience. We get a segment backstage. It's an interview with Sami Zayn. He says he's been watching and studying all of his opponents' tendencies in their previous matches as he heads into the Money in the Bank ladder match. However, he says that he can't seem to pin down the intricacies of Shinsuke Nakamura. He says Nakamura is dangerous because he's unpredictable and has charisma. Sami kind of spazzes out here. He's doing all these weird arm motions trying to imitate Shinsuke. Sami then goes on to say that he's going to be doing commentary tonight during the KO versus Nakamura match. Then Baron Corbin walks in. He grabs the mic from Dasha and punches Sami in the face, telling him that he shouldn't be worried about Shinsuke. He should be worried about Baron Corbin. Then Baron grabs a ladder. He hits Sami with it. Then he picks up Sami and throws him into some more ladders. Then he says, well, I guess a spot on commentary just opened up. Super cheesy line, but I kind of actually loved it. It's almost like a bad B-movie action line that you would hear. It's just super cheesy, but it really worked for me. I know it was not supposed to be funny, but it kind of came off that way. Baron Corbin's delivery is always a little weird to me. He kind of talks like a robot a little bit, but I think that's just his voice, man. I think that's the type of promos that we're going to get from Baron Corbin, so I'm used to it at this point, but when he says lines like this, it really comes off super cheesy, but also hilarious. We get another backstage segment where Shane is on the phone, and he's actually watching what just occurred between Sami and Baron Corbin. He's talking to somebody on the phone. They don't tell us who. He says, did you see that? Baron Corbin just beat the crap out of Sami. I got to go take care of this. Then he hangs up. Then enters Naomi. Now, remember earlier when I told you need to remember what Shane said at the top of the show where he said that Lana can't just enter this Money in the Bank ladder match. She has to earn a shot at the title. You remember when I told you to remember that? Here we go. Naomi comes in and she says that she wants a match with Lana at Money in the Bank. However, she says that she is willing to put her title on the line. What? Super crazy here. I know they're doing that to get people invested into this match because if it was just an exhibition match, people might not get behind it. But Shane gives it to her. So earlier when he said that, hey, Lana, you have to earn your title shot, he just gave her one. Just because Naomi asked, he just gave it to her. So I guess she didn't have to earn it after all. Bad booking here. I don't really understand why they did this, but, well, I do understand why they did it, but I think they should have done it a different way. They shouldn't have had that whole opening segment where Lana is getting berated by Shane, telling her that, she has to earn her title shot when he's just going to give her one later in the show. That doesn't make sense to me. That is bad booking. Definitely not, it's bad continuity, essentially. Like I said, though, man, I'm excited to see Lana in the ring. We have such a lack of footage on her at this point that we kind of really don't know what we're going to get, but I think Naomi is great in the ring, and if Lana can elevate her game a little bit here for her first match, that'll be a good match. So, now, will they do the title switch? I don't think so. They definitely should not do that, but you never know with these things, man. When they get a new person on the roster, the one way they like to build them up quickly is to put a title on them. So, who knows, man? We will see. I'm hoping that next week on SmackDown, obviously we have one more SmackDown before the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I'm thinking that we will see Lana in the ring on that SmackDown because she's going to need a warm-up match. She's not going to be able to just head into Money in the Bank and give us a good match on a pay-per-view out of nowhere. So we might get to see Lana next week facing some enhancement talent or something like that. So we will see. So we head into the main event, man. KO versus Shinsuke. Tom Phillips says that this is the first time ever we are seeing this match. But not really. I mean, we've seen KO eat 2 Kinshasas at this point from Shinsuke, so it's not necessarily the first time that these two guys are going at it, but it is the first time that they're going at it at a singles competition, so I guess you can say that. Baron Corbin is on commentary. He has taken the spot of Sami Zayn. Shinsuke starts off really hot in this match. He's delivering his typical knees and kicks to KO. KO's not really getting in any offense at all. We head to commercial and we come back, and now KO is in control. One thing I did write down here is that guest commentary is very distracting, man. It's really hard for me to pay attention to the match when the commentators are asking questions to the guest commentator, trying to get him to answer things. It really takes away from the match. And when you build up a match for, the past week like you have with this KO and Shinsuke thing, you shouldn't have someone on the mic that is there to distract us from it. So, guest commentary, not my favorite thing. KO has Shinsuke in a chokehold on the mat. KO then hits a DDT and goes back to the chokehold, really trying to suck the life out of Shinsuke. We get those typical boo, yes punches in the middle of the ring. Then KO picks up Shinsuke. KO misses a clothesline, and Nakamura hits a dropkick. Nakamura then puts KO onto the ropes, and he hits the knee to the stomach like he typically does. Shinsuke goes for a pin, but Owens kicks out in 2. KO and Nakamura exchange blows on the top of the post. Then KO takes Shinsuke out by the legs and hits the cannonball in the corner. This is when Baron Corbin says, "Is that a cannonball or a marshmallow?" Obviously keeping up with the fat jokes. I think at one point he even called him Cartman again from South Park, which I don't get all of that shit. That whole thing needs to stop as well. KO stops a kick from Nakamura, but Shinsuke is able to spin around with his other kick and kick KO in the face. Shinsuke then gets into the corner. He starts revving up for the Kinshasa. He gets going. Boom. Hits it. KO sells it like $1 million like he always does. I love seeing KO take the Kinshasa. It's 1, 2, 3. Nakamura pins him clean again. I wrote down here again, this is what I said last week on SmackDown Live. KO makes this move look so good, man. Each time he hits a Kinshasa, KO goes completely limp. His face just looks like he's actually legitimately knocked out, and I love it, man. So props to KO for that. He's really making that move very important, and he's really helping get it over as a serious, serious move. Now, my thoughts here, obviously Shinsuke should win this match. They should be building him up, like I said, as a Brock Lesnar type of guy. Now, I do think that, they probably shouldn't put him on TV every single week, but when they do put him out there, he should look dominant, and he really has, especially fighting against KO and getting those past 3 times that we've seen him on TV and getting those pins on Kevin Owens. The only thing here, though, is, man, KO has lost. He's eaten the pin the past 3 times. You got to remember, man, he is your United States champion. You don't want to have him lose too much because that can really start to deflate him as a character. We really haven't gotten any good KO promos lately. He's been kind of quiet. He's been just taking those pins from Nakamura. And even though Nakamura should win, I think you should protect Kevin Owens a little bit more than you have. So anyway, at the end of the show, Baron Corbin hops off the commentary table. Shinsuke is obviously celebrating his win. His music is playing. Baron Corbin gets into the ring. He hits the end of days on Shinsuke out of nowhere, blindsiding Nakamura. And then Baron ends up leaving. This is where I thought Sami Zayn might come out here, but no, he doesn't. Baron Corbin then just walks off as his music plays, and we are left looking at Corbin as we end the show. Now, I said before on the last SmackDown Live review that I do think that Baron Corbin is going to win Money in the Bank, and I think the way this was booked, I think they're tipping their hand a little bit here. I think WWE Creative is tipping their hand a bit, and they're showing their cards here, because obviously Baron Corbin didn't have a match today. But they needed to get him on the show and keep him fresh and looking dominant in the viewer's eyes, especially if he's going to win. So it makes sense, if they're going to give him the briefcase, that they would put him in a role like this, keep him on TV even though he doesn't have a match and make sure everyone knows that he is strong. And typically they love the Money in the Bank briefcase. They love it when it's given to a heel. And, personally, so do I. So he would make sense in this match as the winner. So, we will see. I don't think it's going to be Dolph Ziggler. So, and I don't think it's going to be a babyface. So I'm really thinking it's going to be Baron Corbin. So, we will see. But it makes sense that they put him on the end of the show here in this fashion, to make him look dominant and make us think that, yes, he could be the one that takes it a week from Sunday. So overall thoughts on SmackDown Live, man. Far better show than Raw. We got actual matches that meant something. It's a noble concept, right? We get actual matches that don't last 2 minutes and they actually have some meaning behind them. Whoa, man, that blows my mind. This show did not drag. Like I said, it had the meaningful matches. It actually advanced the storylines. I will say that I don't think they really did anything for me as far as getting me more excited for the ladder matches that they're going to have. But I think I'm honestly at peak interest anyway. Like I said before, Money in the Bank is one of my favorite pay-per-views every year. It's so hype. I always get hype for it. So I think I'm at peak interest with that anyway. So now I'm just basically waiting. I don't really know what the other matches on this card are going to be. Obviously, we're going to have Naomi and Lana now. But as far as the other matches, I'm actually not really sure. I know New Day and the Usos. But other than that, I'm struggling to think of any off the top of my head here. So we did get that debut of Lana, so that was one of our questions heading into this episode. And I did like the debut of her, even though the segment kind of fell apart and it wasn't really perfect. Lana definitely needs to work on some things, but it's interesting to see that they're going to give her this title shot out of the gate. I'm thinking that they will have her wrestle at least one match in that final SmackDown before the pay-per-view to enhance her a little bit, and we can kind of see what to expect from her. Like I said earlier, man, I think it's bad booking that they said Lana needs to earn that title shot, and then later in the show, Shane just gives her the title shot. But Naomi, obviously, she's kind of being blinded by her rage here because Lana took her out in that match. So, I don't get why that Shane just changed his mind, but it makes sense that Naomi, is so enraged and blinded by it that she would put her title on the line. It's just weird that Shane was like, okay, well, let's do it. Maybe he should have said, hey, you guys can have a match, but it's not going to be for the title. She hasn't earned that yet. That's all that needed to happen, but I guess I understand why they did it. It's to get people invested into that match. Another complaint I kind of had about this show was, we've been getting the women's matches. They always just throw all the women into one match. And I would like to see more single matches out of the women because it's constantly seeming like we're getting these clusterfuck tag matches all the time. Even though tonight's match wasn't too bad, I would like to see more singles competition out of the women. I'm super excited for Lana. She's athletic. She's proven that she can be useful as an in-ring performer, so I'm definitely looking forward to her. AJ versus Dolph, the rematch tonight was definitely worth your time. Go check that match out if you can. That ending was phenomenal, pun intended, but seriously, I mean, AJ and Dolph are both amazing in the ring. When they get together, they're definitely going to put on a show. You can tell that these two guys are like, look, let's go out there and let's make this crowd fucking excited. And they do that each time, man. So good stuff by these guys. This match made sense. There was a reason for it. AJ obviously wanted that rematch, and he got the win tonight. It's not like Raw, where we have a match for no reason that lasts 2 seconds. Mojo getting a shot at Jinder tonight. The match really wasn't great. I have my complaints with both Jinder and Mojo. Jinder, comes away looking strong, and Mojo at least got on TV, so I guess that's good. But Mojo, like I said, man, he needs some more time in the oven a little bit. His in-ring performance is kind of lacking right now. His promos aren't bad. I just think he needs to, he needs to drop that whole he ain't hype bullshit. It's super cringy. Like I said, when he did it tonight, man, no one even had his back, so it's not an over saying. Just drop it. Shinsuke versus KO, the main event. While it was kind of a quick match, it was still decent. Like I said, KO really sells that Kinshasa so well, man. He makes it look like the most devastating move in WWE history, and I'll never get tired of seeing him take that Kinshasa kick to the face. So, good stuff by these guys, but like I said earlier, man, let's cool it with KO losing for a little bit. Let's not have him eat all these pins all the time. Let's get him a win. So some of the other questions I had coming into this match, man, are we going to see Rusev, Ty Dillinger, or American Alpha? And unfortunately, that's a no for all three of those questions. No Rusev tonight. I'm guessing that they just don't have a spot for him currently. Right now things are kind of in flux with the whole Money in the Bank ladder match. If I had to guess, I would say that Rusev probably shows up the night after Money in the Bank on that next SmackDown. One thing to note here, though, is no Ty Dillinger, and I think that's super sad, man. He's very over. He's very good in the ring, but again, I just don't think there's anything for him right now. I think he probably could have been put in this Money in the Bank ladder match, especially if he's not going to win. I don't think it would have hurt to, put him in there or at least try to get him on TV. I'm starting to think, though, man, that Ty Dillinger is kind of headed for that Tyler Breeze route whenever he first came up. If you remember when Tyler Breeze came, he got a few matches, and then all of a sudden, man, we didn't see Tyler, and when we did, he was the jobber, essentially. I really hope they don't give Ty Dillinger that treatment, man. You got to get him back on TV. You got to give him some promos. Just get him back on TV and get him in the mind of the viewers, and we'll go from there. And again, man, no American Alpha tonight. I talked a bit about this already, but, these guys need a chance to put on that epic tag team match that they are known for from NXT. That's how they got over in NXT. You've got to let them do it here on SmackDown. I'm not sure what team to do it with. The Usos might be good, but they're obviously currently tied up with the New Day, so you got to find something for American Alpha because they are so, so, so good. I did read one thing that kind of makes sense. American Alpha could be headed for a heel turn. What if they are the ones that keep constantly trashing the Fashion Files office? What if it turns out that Breezango and them find out that it's American Alpha, and American Alpha is now a heel tag team? That would work. I don't necessarily want to see American Alpha as a heel tag team right now, just because I think they are so good that they're going to get over eventually with this crowd. But if they're looking for something for him, man, that might be it. We get Breezango and American Alpha in a feud for a little bit. Obviously, the Fashion Files are going to make Breezango, the de facto babyface in that match because they are so over with that gimmick right now. But, if American Alpha is the heel, man, I mean, that could be a direction they could go. The main point here, you got to get American Alpha on TV because they are too good to be wasted on the sidelines. So, yeah, man, that was SmackDown Live from June 6, 2017 out of Rochester, New York at the Blue Cross Arena. Again, definitely follow us on Twitter at @ramble_cast. Please subscribe to our YouTube page. That's, like I said, where you're going to find the highest quality audio versions of our episodes. We're on Podbean. Check us out there, royalrambleradio.podbean.com. You can always download the Podbean app and listen to us on the go. We're on SoundCloud as well, soundcloud.com/royal-ramble-radio. And if you ever want to send in any questions, man, I'd love to read some questions from you guys. Send them to royalrambleradio@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer those at the end of the show. So thank you again for tuning in, man. Thank you to all the new subscribers out there. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Royal Ramble Podcast. I am your host, Zach Stevens, and I am out. Peace.